All right, we're live again. So we're going to we're going to take a few minutes and see if we can get some people on here. That'll be great. And if you're on, if you can leave something in the comments, that would be fantastic. We're going to have a great show. But until then, here we go. All right. So this is going to be an interesting show because I don't know if you remember this, Carter, but in the beginning of SEO, it was all about being number one on Google. Everybody wanted to be number one on Google. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not all that it's cracked up to be anymore. But a lot of people still think you got to be number one on Google. So that's what we are talking about today. It really is that ranking just is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
So you got anything to add about that?
Well, first, let me say hello to Derek. Appreciate you being on, man. Thank you for joining us. Anyone else, if you're joining, let us know in the comments that you're here so we can holler at you and say hello. Well, so you're right. We've been doing this for 15 years or so. And so, back in the day, there weren't that, your competition was just figuring out how to get online. So if you beat a few people, hey, Jillian, good to see you. Thanks for being on. If you beat your competition and figured out how to be online, then you were almost going to be number one just for the fact that you got there first, right? And then as more and more people started getting online, search engine optimization became more of a thing. Being first was the most important thing. But if you remember back in those days, reviews didn't exist in the search results. Google reviews didn't exist. And so the only thing that consumers had to go by to judge whether or not a service was good or whether it was the right service to use was whether or not they were at the very top. And there was an assumption that if they were at the very top, they deserved to be there and they were probably the best. And it actually probably wasn't too far up from the truth. It probably hit pretty close to the mark. Not the case 15 years later.
No, it's not the case at all. But I love Derek's statement here, because even now, if you guys want to know, if you want to know how to tell if somebody's been around a long time, A chimney. So that's really, really true. I've laughed. There's a couple of areas we've been in that's exactly that. So Derek, that's hysterical. Hey Terry, how are you doing? Glad you're here. Love to see all of you guys here. Hey, and if you have any questions or anything to add, please comment. That's what we're here for, to answer anybody's questions. And man, if you've got an opinion, give us your opinion. You may disagree with us, and we're okay with that. Absolutely. But go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so in that 15 years, the things that really changed were Google got better at figuring out how to stop people from playing the keyword game, right? Like scamming or spamming those keywords. And there became these long tail search phrases, which means like really complicated search phrases. So instead of just searching chimney sweep, it may be chimney sweep and mason in Charlotte, North Carolina, or, something like that, or a zip code or whatever. So the searches became much more interesting, much more long, much more focused. Mm-hmm. And it really, from that moment, and then they added reviews and more sites like Yelp and Angie's List and all of these others started getting involved and showing up in search results as well. And at that point, then it was no longer about position.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
Well, not just about position. Maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say it's always been about position. Even now, when I say ranking is not what it used to be, what I'm talking about is ranking number one on organic is not what it used to be. It really is about being, almost everybody wants to be on the first page. And I think that's really smart, to be on the first page. Well, how do you get on the first page? There's actually actually four ways to get on the first page, but one of them isn't open to Chimney right now, but it is open to HVAC, plumbers, that kind of thing. And that's the local ads, Google local ads, which is, if you guys have looked, there's like these three boxes at the very top of the page when you search for certain things, and that's your local ad. So you can be on page one through a local ad. You can be on page one if you have a good enough landing page, quality score, a lot of things to do with ads. And Christian's going to be at the CSIA homecoming doing a class on ads, on AdWords and ads. I think it's going to be really great. If any of you guys are thinking about going to that event, he's actually agreed to do it, and I'm excited for him about that. But it really is a lot more to do with you got to pay for it. It's separate. It's really SEM, which is search engine marketing, which is different than SEO. SEO is the thing that you do that gets you to the top of organic. That's really what SEO is, and it's optimizing what's on the page of your website, to match the way that people search, whether that's, keyword search. They have something called systemic search now, which is Google kind of looks at the way they're searching and looks what's on your website and makes these connections that's what you're looking for. So that's the third way. But what's the fourth way? Well, it's on maps, GMB. That's the fourth way. So there's four ways to get on that first page.
Well, not everything, though. I mean, it used to be that it was almost completely in your control. Like, there was a set of things you could do, and if you did them right, then you got the top position. But over time, it's become less and less about the things that you do, and more about like all of these other things that go into that ranking, and all of these other signals is how Google talks about them.
Well,
so there's so many more factors involved in getting to that top search position.
And nobody knows what they are. I mean, all Google will tell you, it's somewhere between 200 and 500 things.
It's a black box.
Yeah, it's a deal. And so if you do search engine optimization, you're running after and trying to find that thing that does the most. You can get the most out of, whatever they're doing at any given time. So, but the real impetus here about ranking is it really doesn't matter where you rank anymore, because I've seen some phenomenal studies just recently about how people are finding people online, especially for service style deals. And it's not just home services, but it's hairstylists, it's barbers, it's car, somebody to service your car, all the different types of services, because people have gotten wise that says, hey, here's the thing. It's not really about whether you're near me or not, because if you're good, I will drive to you, or I will have you into my house. If you're willing to come to my place and you're better than everybody else, then that's where I want to go. So people are wising up and really looking at your reviews and what people say about you, not just on Google, but also on social. So it's amazing how many times people actually click on 1, 2, or 3, whether it's in maps or in organic, and they go over and it brings up somebody else and they're looking at reviews, and it's the reviews that brings them in. So, reviews really is the best currency you can have, and it's really totally under your control. So I think that's really the impetus. And we've said it, but I also want to let people know it's really important that you have those reviews in everywhere you can. And I want to answer Terry's question. How often does Google change parameters or their rules? Terry, nobody knows. I will tell you this. The only thing they ever tell us is when it's big. When something big is coming down the line. Let me give you an example. Probably 3 years ago, it was SSL certificates, the security certificates. And they said, this is going to, be important because we want everybody to be on a secured site. And if you don't have this and we go to your site, we're going to put this message up that says this is not a secured site. which means that if people have a choice then to continue through on that site or not. And you know as well as I do, most people are not going to do that if given that choice. They don't want to go anywhere it's not secured. Another good example is the core web vitals that we just got probably 6 months ago. That's going to go into effect in June. And we're like most marketing companies, we are prepared and doing what we need to do to take care of that. So those are the things that they do is the big stuff, but the little tweaks and those kind of things, I'll just tell you, this is how we normally find out. We are in, just like, you guys are in different groups and associations that deal with chimney and services and those type of things. We're in groups and organizations around SEO, ads, Facebook ads. We have all different places that we go, and we pay to be part of these things, because one of the things it does is everybody says, hey, something happened overnight. And then all of us go in and go and start looking at all different stuff. And that's how we find out. It's kind of a collective. So
watching each other's backs, and utilizing the community to keep the eyes and ears open.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that when we started this 15 years ago, we would see Google roll out big things, and they would save up a whole bunch of stuff and then roll it out all at once. And they'd even name the updates, and it was this big thing. And then it got to where that was happening instead of 3 or 4 times a year, it was happening like about once a month. And now we see evidence that every single day on a rolling basis, regionally, like all across the world, they're testing things and measuring to see how algorithm changes are affecting search and helping their searchers, their visitors, their users, connect more to the things that they're actually looking for. So it's not about position, it's about intention. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, Linda, how are you? Glad you're here. And there's a lot to be said about your local neighborhood groups and groups that you're involved with in your community. I think that's absolutely right. Getting recommendations and referrals from those groups is a gold mine. And way too many people don't look there. So I think that's really, really great. So just remember this, the top position is not always the best. Pretty much once every, I would say 3 to 6 months, we have somebody that will call in, and I'll get them on the phone, and this is their story. They're number one in Google. It's been in chimney, it's been in HVAC, I've seen it in electricians, and I've seen it in plumbing. They're number one on the maps. They're absolutely just, killing it, but the phone's not ringing. And it takes me about 2 minutes, because I immediately go to their reviews, and every time it's their reviews. So I know the number one position is, if you're got the number one position and the best reviews in the area, you're golden. But if you're just looking for the number one position and think that's going to make your business, it is not. It is not. It will not make your business. You have to have the reviews and the proof. I mean, that's just the way it is. Well, Derek, maybe that fantasy football group, I don't know. If it's local, it's still a good group. Get them all those customers. It's always good. Always good. The other thing I think is real interesting. So I'm not going to say who it was, but I was recently on a webinar where the marketing company basically talked about near me searches, and they showed Google Trends. So the thing about Google Trends is you pretty much can't see a trend in Google that's local, because there's not enough people. So you have to look, US. So it was a US search, and he showed how, it started at 0, and now all the way up, there's 100 people searching for chimney sweep or chimney repair near me in the whole United States. So he was saying that this was a great deal to make sure you have near me and those kind of things. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I am saying that those searches are really used more in restaurants, emergency services. That's a big thing.
Brick and mortar retail.
Yes. Plumbing. What is the other one where you have floods and stuff? What's it called? I can't think of the name where they like Serve Pro.
Restoration and remediation.
Yeah. Yeah. So those kinds of emergency type services, absolutely. Near me searches knock it out of the park. Just understand, I'm not against near me searches, but I am telling you that just because you put near me on your website doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come up on a near me search, because what Google does is they take where you are, they see where you are on your phone. Okay. And when they serve that up, they're going to serve up people on the maps that are near you, not necessarily because you have near me type wording or whatever on your website. So just understand that, and just know if you're really good at what you do, got good reviews, they're going to find you. And hello, Mark. Good to see
Mark.
you.
All right, so let's switch gears a minute. So if what I hear you saying, Taylor, is that it's a waste of my time to get on Google every morning and see where I show up on search results, and if I'm not number one, I'm going to call my marketing guys and bawl them out about what am I paying you for and whatever, because I'm not number one today. Because of all of the factors involved in whether or not you show up as number one. That's a whole different thing, and we can get into that later if we have some time.
Yeah.
But I want to get to this. Like, in other words, my time as a business owner is not well spent focused on the SERPs, on the search results and the positions of my company. So what should I be obsessed about?
Well, I think the thing that you should obsess about more than anything are the things you can control. I mean, that's to me, in any business, not just Chimney, and it's the same thing that I try to do here. Is I focus on those things that I absolutely can control. And I will tell you, if there's a marketing company that ever says that they control Google, they're lying, because nobody controls Google. And Google's all about, Chrome and search and all that kind of stuff. Same with Facebook, same with that. So what are the things that matter that that you can do, that you control? Okay. So let's just talk about reviews. You control reviews to a large portion. How do you do that? Well, marketing is a megaphone. Understand that reviews is part of that megaphone. All right. You control the type of service that you give. That's another thing. I mean, if you want to spend time on marketing, spend time on really quality service, because that's going to go so far in your marketing. And this is something that used to didn't happen. So I'm gonna take you back even further than 15 years. We're going to go back probably 30 years here. And some of you guys will remember this, and some of you may not. But used to, if a service person came in and they did a lousy job, the people that found out about it was normally maybe a neighbor or two of mine. My parents didn't live in the same town, so telling them, I might have complained to them, but it didn't make a difference on the business. Maybe some of the people I worked with, and that was it, So if that guy did a really bad job right there, then all he had to do is pick up and move to a different neighborhood, market in that neighborhood, and he got business over there. So, today it's totally different. One really bad review can impact so much of your business online. So managing those, make sure you answer people, which is another thing that I think we have missed opportunities when people don't think those people who have given really good reviews, that you're not grateful. That goes a long way, because people are reading the reviews. They're not only reading what other people say about you, but they're also reading how you respond. So responding back to them when it's a negative review, responding back to them when it's a positive review. And it's interesting. I see this a lot, that people do a lot of that, the responding back and forth on Facebook, but they don't do it on Google.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've seen the same thing. It's Facebook has more of a social connotation. There's a conversation going on Facebook, and it doesn't feel that way on Google. But yet, responding to every review, the good and the bad, is absolutely crucial, I think, on Google, to be present there to show people, because ultimately what you're wanting to do is create a bandwagon that people want to get on, right? And if they see that the owner of the company has taken a minute to thank somebody for patronizing their business and expressing gratitude for having them in their company, and doing taking their hard-earned money and giving it to them, then that creates goodwill. It's like, we do this thing at home. We, sometimes at meals, me, my wife, and my 14-year-old son will go around. It's called 3 things, and we'll just say 3 things, and everybody has to name 3 things that they're grateful for that day, right? 3 things that happen, and it may be big things, it may be tiny little things, but what it does is it creates this snowball effect, right? And maybe one of us has had a really crappy day, but as I'm, let's say it's me, I've just had a really bad day, but as I'm listening to my son and my wife recount their day and the things that they're grateful for, suddenly I tap into a whole bunch of things that happened during the day that I'm grateful for too. I just hadn't thought about it because my head was cloudy with all the stuff that wasn't good, and so when somebody reads reviews that are really positive, and they read the gratefulness of owners who are taking the time to express that gratefulness, it creates this positive feedback loop, and it just spirals up. And before long, people who have never even left a review for anybody for anything suddenly want to leave a review and add their voice to the chorus, because this is an amazing thing, and there's love here, and I feel it, and I want to be a part of that, right?
Yeah. But, Terry just brought something up I think is really true, that, there are companies that get so many reviews. It takes some time to go through and do this. So, Terry, I'm going to give you 3 different suggestions. Okay. So suggestion number 1 is batch those and just say, just pick somebody, go through, and there's 10 good reviews. Go through and just say, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for all these wonderful reviews that have been left. You're one of them, and I'm behind, but thank you to everybody, because a lot of times people will go in and do that. The other thing, Jillian, I was just going to say, Jillian, it's just thank you so much. Just have a standard thing that you can say, and have a thesaurus out there so you can vary it a little bit. We appreciate your kind words. Thanks so much. I mean, there's way different times, and you can even make a cheat sheet, over to the side. Here's the real key to that, though, that if your tech's out there and they say something about a pet or a child, or, hey, I was out at Miss Jones and the dog sat and watched the monitor the entire time, as we went up and down the camera. So, it doesn't really matter that it's not this opus. Okay. You don't need something huge. So you can keep it really, really simple and just have that and copy and paste and just do it. The third thing is this. If you decide that you're not going to answer reviews, okay, especially you can do this on social. It's hard to do on Google, but you can go and you can make posts in your organic Facebook that basically thanks everybody. I just want to give a shout out. This has been such a fantastic week. We've had so many great reviews, and I've not had time to thank everybody, but so those are just things that you can do. And what I would say is people appreciate the effort. I mean, they really do. They appreciate the fact that you are putting forth something and thanking them just to be acknowledged. Have you ever been anywhere and nobody even came up to you? When I was in BNI, this used to drive me crazy. We'd have a guest come in and nobody would go up and say hi. I mean, I would sit back and watch when I was the president, and it just was like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Go say hi.
I've been that
introduce
guest.
yourself. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and so that's the way people feel. They've made an effort to say something about you. Just make an effort to say thank you.
Yeah. Good points.
And Lou's here. Hey, Lou. How you doing, man?
Something's better than nothing. That's a great point, Lou.
Yeah. So I just, and I love this too, what Terry's saying about Testimonial Tuesdays. Yeah, absolutely. Find something and put it out in social that really that highlights somebody. I mean, it's just, we don't realize this, but I'm gonna tell a story on my wife this morning. She came in here this morning laughing about something because we talk a lot about time. And she told me read the story out and said, it is amazing how it's taken me so long to realize that when I used to make all this stuff, that I would just, buy the stuff and think that's what it cost. The real cost is time. So I want you to think about this. We think about that as business owners, that this is our time and it's we're spending our time, which is money, to answer all these people. But I want you to think about this. They started it. They spent their time first. So finding those people that have said something really amazing about you and highlighting them, oh my gosh, it's fantastic.
I like that.
And that leads right into our Facebook conversation. But before we get there, guys, don't forget to like us. Man, Facebook likes that. So we'll say, okay, it's a vanity metric. But if Facebook says that's good while you're live, then we're going to ask you to like us. Thanks so much. So here's the other thing. And I got into this one, so Dill, I totally forgot all the banners. So here's the first one, okay?
I was wondering about that.
It's about your position, not your intention, if anybody's writing it down. Here's the second one, obsess over the quality of your service, not your rank. Now we're going to go to number 3. Facebook doesn't have rank.
You mentioned Facebook earlier and, talking about the difference of how people respond on Facebook to a review versus on Google. And it really is a different platform. I mean, it's a different animal and it has to be treated different. The care and feeding is different for that animal. So talk a little bit about it. I mean, the first obvious thing is that when somebody does a search on Facebook, it's not like getting a Google page of results back that everything's ranked and all of that. It's a very different kind of experience.
So it's really difficult if you just ever go into Facebook and just look up chimney company. Facebook pulls up anybody that has chimney company in their name. I mean, they really are searching brands. So that's one of the most difficult things I think about Facebook. So when you can get people that can follow you, follows I think are way more important than likes. Because when people follow you, they're basically giving permission to show up in their feed. If I go in and just like somebody, I'm not going to necessarily come up in their feed. But if I follow them, I know they're going to come up, in the feed. And it's the same deal. If you don't like what somebody is saying, you can actually go in and unfollow them. They don't see it. You're not unfriending them, but you unfollow them and you no longer, see them in your feed. So following is really, to me, a metric on Facebook that's a little bit more important than just liking. And it comes down to engagement. I mean, that's really what Facebook is about. Facebook is about, here's the thing, all right? So are you engaging with the people you want to engage with? In other words, if you're using Facebook for business, then you're going to want to engage with people who want to use your business. So it's just not about, flowers and fun and those kind of things. I mean, it can be on your personal page, and I think that's great. But when you get into your business page, it's just a little bit different. So you want to make sure that you're putting things on social that you feel like have value to people. And it's just not posting a bunch of stuff. It's intentional. It's that same intention.
Right.
That before.
Engagement is one word for it. Attention, though, is the other word. I mean, it's about getting attention. And if you've done the job of getting their attention, then you have the hope of having engagement with them, right? Engagement is I'm going to stick with it. You got my attention. Now I'm going to watch to see how that video ends. Or now I'm curious about whether or not the problem that they just described is the problem that I have with my leaky chimney. I thought it was my roof, that kind of thing. So you're winning the right on social media and with Facebook to first get their attention, and you got to do it quick because thumbs are getting faster these days, right? So you got to get it quick. But once you have their attention, then you've won the right to engage them and provide information that's useful to them, or that makes their day, something to chuckle at, something to laugh about. It doesn't even have to be directly tied to your business or your services. Facebook is a great place to paint a human face, right? People want to engage with human beings. They don't want to engage with images. They don't want to engage with bots. They don't want to engage with some nameless, faceless corporation. They want to engage with people. And so when you take the time to post the picture of, the newest puppy at the office who's hanging out with the big dog, like Linda Roydhouse and Chuck do with their business up in Maryland, that's, it's a great thing because people go, oh, they're dog people. Now, tell me that doesn't win a few jobs. Okay. Yeah. And you're making your business more human. You're making yourself more relatable. People don't know what chimney sweeps do. And chances are that if you try to tell them in a really dry way, they're going to tune out. But if you win the right by saying, here's a cute puppy, and by the way, it's time to get your chimney swept because it is, it presents a danger in your home if you don't get it done every year, then, you've baited them a little bit, sure, but you've won the right to get their attention, and that's a great thing to sell your services.
I think there's another thing on Facebook that we really don't pay attention to, and that's all the different ways that people can learn more about you. So that's really filling everything out. And I know you said that people don't like bots, but if you're not in front of Facebook to where you can get to them, there is a Facebook bot that you can use.
Oh, hey, I'm all for bots and automation. You know me.
But I'm just saying that, so you can answer and ask questions and, all that kind of stuff. Oh no, I lost everyone. I don't know what Jillian is saying.
Come back, Jillian.
Come back. But there's a business page. You fully optimize it. You can put your services on there, your contact methods. Make sure you've got an email on there, a phone number on there. If they can text you, that they can text you. I mean, all those things are really, really important to have all that filled out. Make sure. I'm amazed how many people are getting great Google reviews, and I go to Facebook and they don't get any reviews on Facebook. They don't have it turned on. So I look at all these different things. So utilize everything that these companies have given you in order to get business. And I would tell you the same thing with Google and Google My Business. Utilize, optimize, fill everything out. Try to do as much as you can. There's one exception to that, and that is the GMB website. Be really careful with that one. You don't want it competing with the website that you have, and you cannot compete with the bigger websites with that small website. It really was. So the video paused. It didn't pause here. Wow. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry about that. Hopefully it'll pick up on the recording and didn't pause. I didn't see it here. Anyway, hope it's back. Anyway, Tom says something's up. It's stopping and starting. So I'm not
technical issues. What are you going to do? Here we are talking about Facebook, sharing all the love and ways to be successful on Facebook, and then they do this to us.
They do this to us. I mean, isn't that the same? Anyway, so just real quick, we'll finish it up here a little bit. It says your stream is not right. Well, okay. My world's not always right either, so I guess that's the way that goes. So we're going to go ahead. Hopefully the recording will be good, and we'll have it up and go from there.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you need a playbook, go to sparkmarketer.com//playbook. Next week, we're going to talk about making your team a lean, mean marketing machine.
I like how you did that there. Team, lean, mean marketing machine.
Well, I try. I'm a marketer.
You're a marketer, not a rapper.
That's right. Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and end it here. Hopefully, the technical glitches will straighten out on the recording and will be better. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for the likes and the loves, and we hope to see you right here next week.
Thanks, everyone.